And good morning. I hope you are having a good Friday. Cheers. Okay. So I have my mic in my face because it is Gardener Day. So I'm trying to mitigate the noise that is bound to occur in the middle of this. So we'll see how this goes. I don't think all the audio gear in the world can overcome the noise of a leaf blower and lawnmower, but we'll see what happens. So, where am I? Good evening. Welcome. Come, join. So last episode, you may recall that I was trying to get application insights working with Business Central. And the problem that I was having had nothing to do with Business Central. Because it's remarkably easy. It's amazingly easy to set up Business Central to feed telemetry to application insights. They've done a very good job. You just go into Azure, set up an App Insights instance or whatever it's called, and that App Insights instance has a key. You just copy that key in your BC Admin Center, and you're up and running. It's like magic. So super cool, super easy. But for some reason, I was getting all sorts of errors in App Insights. Nothing to do with Business Central, just I couldn't get App Insights to work at all. I'm getting all these weird errors, connection issue, data inaccessible. And I was like, what is going on? Well, thanks to help from Krzysztof, he jumped on a Zoom meeting with me, and he is in Poland, I believe, and he's testing his instance. Then he tests it on my computer, and then we test my instance on his computer, and we figure out it is my network or my computer, something is going on. So we figured out my App Insights works perfectly fine for everyone else except for me, which is a problem. Turns out it was DNS. And this is total edge case. My problem should not happen to 99.9% of other people. And it's because I use a DNS server called Pi-hole, and it allows you to download DNS block lists for things like ad blocking, malware blocking, tracking, and related to tracking, it also blocks any and all telemetry. Microsoft, you name it, anyone else. I have, I think, 800,000 domains that are blocked by the Pi-hole, and thousands of those are telemetry related. So you'll see here, this is an example of the log from the Pi-hole DNS showing that the application insights and loganalytics.io domains were blocked. Now, looking at this list, you wouldn't necessarily know what those are or that they're remotely related to Microsoft. But after doing testing on my machine, I'm able to track my IP address, see the activity of my computer. And I said, I'll bet you that these are related to application insights. And sure enough, once I unblocked these two, my app insights started to work. That web page started to work. And I did more tests, clicked on more things in App Insights, found more domains that I had to unblock. And so it was very specific to my setup, my use of Pi-hole, my block list that I'm using with Pi-hole. And so I'm guessing that very, very few people have this level of network security and would experience this. So yeah, App Insights does work. BC telemetry with App Insights does work. And if it's not super easy and if it's just not working, then I'm going to say it's likely something in your environment. So anyway, once I figured that out, thanks to Krishdov's help, I was up and running. Now, one thing I did learn that was very interesting is App Insights is not just one thing. It's not one monolithic service that connects to Microsoft through one domain. I found that nearly everything I clicked on within App Insights seemed to connect to something else in the Microsoft environment. So if I click on the App Insights dashboard here, or just the App Insights homepage, that would connect to certain things at Microsoft, and I'd see those domains. If I clicked on Live Metrics over there on the left, that used a different domain name. If I clicked on Logs, that used a different domain name. So each of those services, I'll call them, under App Insights, may connect to a different resource in the Microsoft environment. And as a result, it may use a different domain name. So if you're using DNS blocking firewalls or other network restrictions or security rules, you may encounter that most of App Insights works, but certain things do not work. So just be aware of that. That was really interesting and educational for me. And right here, you see the queries page. The queries page wouldn't work for me at all. That, again, it's when you open that up in the browser, I don't know what the logic is called, but it's performing page logic, whether that's JavaScript or whatever it's called. That page then loads a different resource from Microsoft. So it's pulling data from all over the place and assembling it. And I was blocking multiple Microsoft resources and domains that was preventing anything from working. Anyway, it was really educational to see how it worked. I would have never known, like I have many times said, when I encounter problems, I learn a lot more because I've got to solve the problem. And when I solve that problem, I have to dig under the covers. It is very frustrating. It does take time. But, now I know more about what goes on under the hood of BC App Insights, App Insights. And now I understand a little more about how to use it with BC. And a nice comment coming in from YouTube. I won't try to mispronounce your name. So thanking me for the videos related to Business Central development. You're more than welcome. It is just my bumbling journey trying to figure this out. So I'm with you trying to learn, and I'm glad you found it helpful. So welcome. Okay, so if you're having problems with App Insights, it's probably on your end. That's what I learned based on my experience. App Insights and Business Central telemetry should be super easy to set up. So I'll just do a quick rundown, and then I'll just summarize what I've learned here. So over to Studio 4. Let me check my sound volume. Looks okay. We've got lawnmower action right outside, so we'll see if the noise comes through. So here we have my Business Central environment, and you just go into Azure, you say New Application Insights Resource, and you have this resource. And I will share some learning resources where this is well documented. It's super easy to do, though. You basically come in here, find your instrumentation key for this App Insights instance. And this is basically where should BC send its telemetry data. And it is this App Insights instance. So if you're an ISV, you'd send it here. Or if you're a partner, you may be collecting App Insights telemetry here. Okay, then you come over to your Business Central Admin Center. You go into your environment. You click on this App Insights key define link, and you enable it and you paste it in. And the documentation warns you, hey, just to let you know, as soon as you click save here, it's going to restart your BC environment. So you don't want to enable this in production in the middle of the day when users are doing this. They're going to get kicked out and it's going to be an interruption. So do this in the evening when everyone's out. Okay, but once you hit save, it's immediately active. Now, once you enable it, you should, within a few seconds, start to see some data. And so I'm just going to pull up this existing query. I do not know the KQL Kusto query language at all right now. So it's kind of like a SQL variant to me. So I went into my existing saved query, and this is the example query that they have on the Business Central documentation. Traces, so you're querying the traces table as I think of it. Take 100 means for me like top 100 in SQL. And sort by timestamp descending. Okay, and I have learned, and Kenny P recommended on Twitter that I make sure to sort by timestamp so that because I was getting really strange results with some of my data. And it was like getting stuff from March. I was like, what is going on? Like the data didn't make any sense. I couldn't get any recent data. So the take 100 sort by timestamp descending is a good idea just to see what current data you're encountering. And then this time range, this is another filter that is imposed on the query, it seems. So last 24 hours. So in my testing, I want to see just recent data. So I'm going to run that. And you should very quickly see the data come up. So you see this took 0.4 seconds. And you see, hey, job queues, authorization, web service called. So let's just do a test. So I'm going to pull up my Postman, and I have a prior video on exploring Postman. I'm just going to query a customer. I'm going to query customers. I'm going to get items. I'm just going to click send just to send a bunch of API requests in. And now, if I rerun my query, let's see how long it takes. So that was a couple seconds ago. There is some latency and makes total sense. It's probably highly queue-based, highly asynchronous in the background. I believe the Business Central telemetry calls that push the telemetry to App Insights, that is asynchronous, probably using .NET Core async methods. And then that gets into like a lazy queue in Application Insights, and it eventually gets logged. So it is taking a few seconds here, more than I would have thought. So this is not real-time log data from what I've seen, not surprisingly. Let's see, we have last 24 hours. Let's see if last 4 hours helps. Last 30 minutes. Oh, interesting. So no results from the last 30 minutes. So that tells me that, it's taking a little while. And hopefully I'm in the right App Insights tenant. Interesting. Okay, so it's not showing the immediate data. I don't know what the latency is, but it's clearly more than 30 seconds sometimes. Sometimes it's really fast. Maybe there's a queue that just cycles and updates the data. Other times, as we're seeing here, it's pretty slow. Okay, so we'll come back to that. So it's really that simple. Now, this is a query. This is one way to immediately see the data in traces. So let's do a new query. Still learning. How do we do that? New query. Looks like there's a plus sign here. So there's something called page views. And I'm just going to borrow the same query, paste it in since I don't know KQL at all yet. Page views, take 100, sort by timestamp. Let's see if that works. Look at that. So I see that Role Center, Help and Support, Business Manager. Now let's see if this is faster. So I'm going to go into my BC tenant. I'm going to go Customers. And let's pull up a customer page. Okay. And let's go to Sales, Posted Sales Invoice. I'm just clicking around randomly. And so each of these page views, amazingly, like every user's page view is getting logged to telemetry. It's like, from my background, that's remarkable. And like essentially zero latency to the user, super, super granular data. So let's see if this shows up. Okay, I think I'm in the right tenant. Let's check. So I'm just going to do a test. I'm going to go to Overview. Let me save this as page views. So I'm going to save this query, click on Save, and I'm going to call this Page Views Test 1. Okay, click on Save. Okay, we're going to close our queries, I think. Okay, so now my instrumentation key is 9FF3, whatever. And let's go to my admin center and my production. Oh, come on. 1 second, let me fix this. Oh, I can't. Okay, 1 moment while I fix my login. That is literally me in real time right there. Okay. Oh, he's not moving. That's weird. Oh, there he goes. Okay. I guess PowerPoint's smart enough to turn that off. So that is me banging the keyboard. 1 second. Let me figure out how to log back in here. Okay. Yes, I want to stay signed in. Okay. So here we are back in my tenant. And yep, 9FF356E. That looks right. Okay. Okay, yeah, so it should be coming through. So if I go back to my App Insights homepage and I go to, let's try Live Metrics. I haven't really looked at that since I got it working. Oh, okay, interesting. Your app is offline or using an older SDK. Okay, I wonder if that's just BC doesn't support that. I'm not sure. Okay, so let's go back to logs then. And let's open up my page views test query and let's run it, see if we can get it to run. There we go. So there's our customer card, customer list, posted sales invoice. Okay, and let's go back and see if my API calls are showing up in test query 1. Traces. It is not. So interesting. So traces, timestamp descending. Yeah. So traces appears. Oh, I wonder if. No, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, web service call. So this is an older one from wherever that was, 529. Anyway, so there is some latency. That's kind of a lesson to learn there. So, okay. So that was that's kind of the crash course. I haven't really explored it. Oh, one other thing that I'll mention later, but if you go to Overview, there is this application dashboard link at the top. The navigation, I'm not thrilled of. It's kind of like, what am I looking for? But you'll find the places that you want to look in the telemetry page on Azure. So you can download some sample App Insights dashboards. I don't yet know how helpful it is, but it is an option. They're just kind of samples and you can figure out how to display the data you want in a dashboard. So at a quick glance, you might be able to see some telemetry data that you're interested in. But let me switch back here and 1 moment. Okay, so there we go. So this is really just the first step of enabling the telemetry and getting the data flowing. If you start to look at this data, it's a little overwhelming. It's like really, really granular, detailed log data. And if you've ever seen just massive telemetry dumps or syslog data, things like that, it's kind of hard to sift through it. So the raw data itself, that is just the first step. What you really want is some form of analysis. And I showed the App Insights dashboard briefly. Maybe you can dig into this and figure out how to see some data or some analysis of the data that you want to see that's valuable to you, put it on a dashboard. That's one option. But what I think is probably going to be the most powerful will be Power BI reports. And so Kenny has assembled, you see here on the GitHub repo up there, Kenny has assembled 3 sample Power BI reports that are available on this GitHub link, github.com, Microsoft BC Tech. There's an error report, partner telemetry template, and performance report. And I haven't had time to compare them and dig into them, but I've just opened them to make sure I can get them to work. It is a little tricky to figure out how to get the parameters set up in Power BI Desktop and connect and authenticate. I'll do a separate session on that based on my learning, but you can start to see some of the analysis that Power BI provides. And these are very simple. This first one is page counts. Oh, these are API calls. So these are different API endpoints. And then up here, I have response time of something, like a report or extensions or pages or something. So it shows response time in milliseconds, things like that. So, and once you get the visuals in place, it really opens up. And so I saw a brief demo of some Power BI reports using the telemetry, and you can get really, really creative and have some really powerful visuals if you figure out how to parse the data. So that's where it's going to eventually end up, I believe. And so Microsoft presumably has powerful Power BI visuals that they're analyzing, and ISVs, I think that'll be very valuable. So some resources. If you go to my BC Resources blog post, bit.ly/BC Resources, there are 2 links listed there related to application insights. One is AKA MS BC Telemetry, and then there's AKA MS BC Telemetry Samples. And that'll point you to, I believe, the help docs, the Business Central documentation for telemetry, and then the GitHub repo with sample KQL queries and videos and other things. There is a Business Central YouTube tutorial that walks you through the setup process. Again, it is very simple. It should be pretty simple for you to do if you're familiar with Azure and can navigate Azure, and if you have access to your BC Admin Center. And then Yoon Chu, awesome blogger. If you are not following him on Twitter, and if you're not following his blog, definitely sign up and pay attention to his blog posts. He has fantastic, incredibly detailed and well-documented blog posts. And this is his blog post on setting up BC telemetry with App Insights. However, I noticed just in I think he created this in November 2020. And even since then, his screenshots of Azure App Insights look different than what I saw when I set it up. So things are constantly changing. So just be aware, the screenshots may be slightly different, but the process is essentially the same. So check out his blog post for very detailed step-by-step instructions. And if you are a partner, one interesting point he makes is if you point your customer's Business Central environment to your partner App Insights session or instance, if that customer changes partners, you will no longer have access to their BC Admin Center, but they'll be still sending you telemetry to your instance. So before they leave, or you need to talk to them and say, hey, turn off your App Insights or change to your new partner or whatever, because once someone has your App Insights key, they're going to be pushing telemetry to you, and you can't stop it, as far as I can tell. There's no way to do that short of blowing away your App Insights or creating a new App Insights. So it's kind of Yeah, not ideal. It'd be good if you could generate multiple App Insights telemetry keys and deactivate one selectively for a given customer. I don't know if that's possible or if there's a different way to authenticate or whatever. But anyway, so that is the crash course and update on BC App Insights telemetry. My lessons that I learned were: one, it is very easy to set up. Two, if it is not working, it's likely on your end. In my case, it was my DNS. And three, once you get it working, you'll get raw data, and then the adventure begins of trying to analyze that raw data. But coming from an on-prem product from the Dynamics GP world, which I'm used to, having telemetry is amazing. We did not have that natively in the Dynamics GP world. I don't think the Microsoft Dynamics GP team really had any telemetry to work off of the tens of thousands of customers. So they were having to ask, like, does anyone use this feature? They didn't know because they didn't have telemetry. And so Business Central has a huge advantage in that the Microsoft team is able to monitor their own telemetry internally, and partners and ISVs are able to add telemetry to their customers and to their app extensions to collect telemetry to help them understand what's going on. Now, you obviously need to be prudent that you're not harvesting, GDPR sensitive data or anything like that, but just knowing which API endpoints are being used, which pages are being accessed, which features are being used. Very simple from what I've seen to add that to your applications or extensions. So really, really neat opportunities ahead for us in the Business Central world, thanks to the BC team and hooking it up and making it so easy to use BC App Insights telemetry. So, excellent accomplishment. One more hurdle down for me, and news to celebrate too. So, have a good Friday, morning, evening, weekend. And have a good weekend. Take it easy. How do I get out of here? Okay, have a good one.